Welcome to my channel. She doesn't respect words. She respects distance. That's the truth most men didn't realize until it's too late. You can text her paragraphs. You can explain your intentions, show your loyalty, make promises, but none of that shifts the way she sees you. What does your absence, your ability to detach fully, not halfway, not with one foot still hoping she'll come back, but completely? Because when you stop showing up, when you stop needing her to validate you, something unexpected happens. The energy shifts. She starts to notice what your presence used to hold. And suddenly, the man she thought would always be there lessened. That's when her respect begins. Not because you punished her, but because you elevated yourself. This video is about understanding the truth. Respect isn't earned by overgiving. It's earned by letting go, not emotionally bitching, not chasing clarity. Just choosing yourself in silence and letting that decision speak louder than any argument ever could. So, if you're ready to feeling overlooked, confused, or taken for granted, stay with me. I'm going to show you exactly why detaching completely is not weakness. It's the strongest move a man can make. Number 1. Respect begins where neediness. Respect begins where neediness ends. Respect isn't born from how much you show up. It's born from what you're willing to walk away from. A man who can't detach is a man who puts her on a pedestal. And no woman respects a man who treats her like a god. When you let go of that emotional dependency, that's when she starts to see you differently. That's when she realizes you don't need her to feel whole. And that shifts the very thing. The Stoics knew this well. Self-sufficiency is the foundation of strength. Think about it. The moment you stop trying to prove your worth to Harry's, the moment she starts questioning why you're no longer seeking her validation. Absence of need. It's powerful because when you were constantly a ball, constantly accommodating, she may have appreciated the effort, but nothing energy behind it, and that energy was neediness. It's what Marcus Aurelius would call being ruled by externals. A Stoic man doesn't need attention to feel significant. His sense of value comes from within, not from how Sumi Niels responds. Maybe you were the guy who used to text first, explain every silence, or try to fix things the second they felt off. But the truth is, fixing isn't always your job. Sometimes the most powerful move is to let things be, to detach not out of anger, but out of clarity. That's when she notices something has changed. And it's not the silence that shocks her. It's the shift in your energy. You're no longer orbiting around her. You're walking your own path. And that's when the dynamic flips. Picture a man who's so grounded in his purpose that he doesn't chase, not because he doesn't care, but because he knows who he is with or without her. That's the kind of presence that commands respect. A woman feels that. She senses when a man is no longer emotionally entangled and needing her to stay. That's when her curiosity wakes up. That's when she starts to wonder what she might lose. So if you're in a place where you're constantly doing more, saying more, proving more, pause, breathe, step back, detachment isn't rejection, it's redirection. It's Yao seeing. I value myself too much to beg for what should be freely given. And trust me, that shift doesn't just change how she sees you. It changes how you see yourself. That's where respect begins. That's where freedom starts. Stop explaining. Start living. Number 2. Stop explaining. Start living. Most men talk too much after the distance begins. They explain, over-explain, justify why they're pulling back. But here's the truth. The more you talk, the less she feels. Let your actions speak. Let your silence do the talking. A Stoic man isn't interested in convincing anyone. He's focused on living his code with or without applause. And when you do that, she feels the contrast and respect begins to grow. You see, there's something powerful about a man who no longer feels the need to explain his every move. Themament. You stop chasing validation, stop pleading to be understood, and instead direct that energy into building your life. Something shifts. She starts telling her, why isn't he trying anymore? Why isn't he chasing? That's when Thepor flips. You're no longer trying to be heard. You've become someone who doesn't need to be. Imagine this. She pulls away, maybe goes cold. Most men panic. Send paragraphs. Ask what went wrong. But you take a step back, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. You go to the gym. You work on your craft. You spend time with people who elevate you. You don't send explanations. You send silence backed by progress. In that space you create, it forces her to sit with the absence of your presence. That's what makes her feel your value. Again, the Stoics had a word for this: apatheia. Not indifference, but emotional clarity. It's the ability to stay steady when the world around you shifts. You don't react, you respond by living well. And that quiet strength, it doesn't just protect. Your peace, it turns you respect. Because a woman only truly respects you when she sees you're capable of walking away. Not to hurt her, but because you refuse to abandon yourself. So don't explain your distance. Don't narrate your worth, Levite. Embody it. Let her feel what it's like to lose access to the man who once gave to freely. That's not coldness. It's discipline. And that's when she starts to see you differently. It's not as someone trying to prove his value, but as someone who knows it. Number 3, her uncertainty is your power. You don't need to hurt her. You just need to become unpredictable, not chaotic, just calm and unavailable. When you stop reacting, when you stop making your emotions visible, you create tension, curiosity, and in that space she starts feeling what she took for granted. Stoic doesn't seek to be understood. He lets others interpret his silence however they want. Meanwhile, he keeps walking forward. See, most men try to fix uncertainty. They chase, they explain, they clarify, thinking that making her feel safe will bring her closer. But the truth is, when a woman no longer feels the possibility of losing you, she stops valuing what shekas. That's why detachment is powerful. Not because it's cold, but because it removes her ability to predict your next move. And nothing creates more attraction than emotional mystery. I'll give you an example. Imagine she pulls away, texts less, seems distracted, maybe even tells you she needs space. Most men panic here. They push harder. They start overcompensating. But a Stoic man pauses. He doesn't lead. He doesn't question. He simply mirrors the distance without drama. And because he's grounded in his own path, she feels that shift not in what he says, but in what he no longer gives so freely. His time, his presence, his energy. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That's the essence here. You don't need to argue your worth. You don't need to debate your place in her life. You become the man who can walk away, not because you want to hurt her, but because your self-respect won't let you stay where you're not. Scene. Her uncertainty is not your weakness. It's sire mirror. It shows you who you are when things aren't clear. If you remain steady, if you remain focused on what you can control, your emotions, your choices, your direction, she'll feel that shift. And one day, when she looks back and realizes you're no longer chasing, she'll finally see the man you were all along. Now, let me ask you, have you ever noticed how her energy changed after you stopped explaining yourself? If this message hit home, drop a comment below or type, "I protect my peace, not my ego." And if you're Redito, go deeper into mastering your presence, purpose, and power. Watch the next video on your screen. Keep walking forward. The man who walks away with peace. Number 4, the man who walks away with peace. Anyone can storm out with anger, but walking away with peace in your eyes, now that's power. When you detach, not out of revenge, but out of clarity, you become unforgettable. That's the Stoic mindset. Be like the rock the waves crash upon, but it stands sunmaffed. Don't try to hurt her back, just leave without noise, and she'll feel that quiet for a long time. Because here's the truth. A woman only truly respects you when she feels that you're not afraid to lose her. When you no longer need to convince her, explain yourself, or fight for a place in her life. That's when she starts looking at you differently. It's not the dramatic exit that lingers in her mind. It's the stillness. The fact that you didn't chase, didn't break down, didn't try to fix what she was already willing to risk losing. There's a different kind of weight to your silence when it comes from self-respect. She might not admit it, but the moment you calmly walk away, she starts to feel of everything she once ignored. Your detachment isn't punishment, it's presence. It shows that you've reached a point where you'd rather protect your peace than beg for attention. That changes everything. Imagine she sends a vague text hoping to reel you back in. She's used to you jumping at crumbs, but this time you didn't respond right away or at all. You're too focused on your growth on your path. And in that space, the respect begins to rise. Not because you'd treed to impress her, but because you'd stopped orbiting around her. The Stoics taught us that freedom comes when we master ourselves, not others. And when you detach from someone who takes you for granted, you're not being cold. You're stepping into your power. You've stopped negotiating your worth. You've stopped trying to be understood. You simply choose peace over confusion. That's not ego. That's wisdom. So let her wonder. Let her sit in the echo of your calm.
Yes.
Because the man who walks away with peace isn't walking away to get her back. He's walking away to get back to himself. And that's the man she'll never forget. Number 5. Detach to rediscover. Direction. Most men lose themselves in the chase. Their routine, their goals, their standards all get diluted. Detachment is the correction. Step away from her world, you step back into yours. And the more grounded you become, mean your purpose, the more you radiate something deeper than charm. You radiate a fucus. That's what Stoic men live by. Direction over distraction. A woman only begins to truly respect you when she sees that your life doesn't orbit around her. And no, it's not about being cold or punishing her with absence. It's about remembering who you are without needing her constant validation, you see? When a man is too available, too responsive, too emotionally lead, he loses his center. That's when she starts to test, to pull away, to wonder if the man she admired is still in there, or if he gave himself up trying to keep her. Suppose you start dating someone and everything's exciting. Cancel gym sessions, stay up too late, skip work priorities. At first she might like the attention, but slowly she notices the shift. You're always around, always agreeing allocating moments with her instead of moments with yourself. That's not leadership, that's self-abandonment. And without realizing it, she starts losing respect. But when you detach, not with bitterness, but with clarity, you regain that lost ground. You stop showing up to prove yourself and start showing up for your own mission. That's when something shifts. She notices. She might not say it out loud, but internally something clicks. He's not chasing me anymore. He's chasing his life. The Stoics had a word for this kind of strength, eudaimonia, a flourishing life aligned with virtue and direction. Not a life distracted by validation, but one driven by inner purpose. Marcus Aurelius put it simply: the impediment to action, advance action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When her distance becomes your mimit to realign. That's not loss, it's redirection. And here's the truth, Mosman. When you fully detach, not halfway, not just pretending, you stop sending mixed signals. You become a man she can't manipulate, a man who leads with calm, not chaos. In that calm, she finally sees what she didn't before. A man who respects himself more than he needs her approval. Detach not to teach her a lesson, but to remind yourself of your path. That's where her respect begins, and that's where your peace lives. Number 6. Let her feel the void. Not hear it void. Not hear it. You don't need to make dramatic exits or post cryptic quotes. You just go quiet. Not because you're playing games, but because your attention has shifted inward, that space you leave behind. It says more than any speech could. A Stoic understands. True power isn't in reacting, it's in restraint. And when she no longer hears from you but feels your absence, the shift begins. That's when she starts Towender. No, not because you've shouted your value, but because you've taken it with you. See, when a man truly detaches, he doesn't do it for show. He does it because staying connected to someone who no longer reciprocates is a form of self-betrayal. And here's what most men don't realize. Partial detachment is just emotional limbo. It doesn't change anything. It's only when you cut the emotional cord completely, when you no longer wait for a text, when you stop checking if she's watching your story, that you reclaim your power. And women feel that. They notice when a man who once gave without limits no longer shows up for the same performance. No more reassurance, no more explaining, just stillness. That void you leave behind. It challenges her ego. It confronts her assumptions. And slowly it forces her to face what she never thought she'd lose. Your presence, not just your body, but your energy, your focus, your care. Think of a real-life example. A man pours into a woman consistently, loyally, without question. The more he gives, the more she distances. Eventually, he stops. Not out of spite, not to manipulate, but because he's tired of showing up to a stage with no audience. So he turns inward. Redirects that energy into his own path, his body, his business, his peace. Andone Day she texts, "I've been thinking about you," not because he begged her to, but because she finally felt what it's like to live without him. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be own." Detachment is part of that, not because it punishes her, but because it protects you. A woman only begins to respect you when she realizes you won't break your own standards just to stay close to her. You're not trying to prove your worth anymore. You're living it. So don't announce your departure. Don't explain your silence. Just withdraw with calm. Let her feel the weight of your absence where your attention used to live. That's when respect begins. Not when you speak louder, but when you vanish with peace. And if any part off this message struck a chord with you, pause for a moment and think about why. Maybe you've been that man, holding on too long, explaining too much, waiting for something that never truly returned. Or maybe you're just now realizing that truer silence, rooted in self-respect, speaks louder than any declaration ever cowed. Whatever your story is, I want to hear it. Drop a comment below and share our thoughts, or simply type, "I choose peace over validation." And if you're finding value here, hit that like button to help more men hear this message. Now let's take this even deeper. Number 7, rejection doesn't shrink. Rejection doesn't shrink. EU attachment das EU attachment does. Here's what most men don't get. Being rejected doesn't destroy you. Being attached afterward does. She might say it's over. She might act like you never mattered. From wine I don't. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." So stop replaying. Detach, free your mind. She'll feel that mental distance long before sees the physical one. Because the truth is, a woman only starts to respect you and she senses you've let go. Not just of her, but of the need for her. The damage isn't in the rejection itself. It's in what you do with it. Most men fall apart not because they were left, but because they cling to thestery. They keep checking her page. They talk about her to friends. They search for closure in every little thing she says or doesn't say. That's not love. That's emotional addiction. And like any addiction, it makes you weaker the longer you hold on to it. Now, picture at the man who chooses differently. He hears the no, feels the sting, but doesn't resist reality. Breathe through it. He doesn't chase. He doesn't explain himself endlessly. He doesn't try to prove his worth. Instead, Heppels back into his own world, into his focus, his purpose, his code. He becomes a man she can't figure out anymore. And that's when the shift happens. She may not admit it, but she starts to feel something unfamiliar. Respect. So if she rejected you, let thought be the moment you start to rise, not the excuse to fall. Don't chase. Don't prove. Don't stay emotionally available to someone who's already turned the page. When you detach completely, not halfway, not as a tactic, you send a message without ever speaking. You don't need her validation to move forward. And ironically, That's sexically when she begins to wonder if she ever really understood you at all. That's when the respect begins. It's not when you hold on, but when you let go, like a man who finally knows his worth. Discipline is the new desire. Ember 8. Discipline is the new desire. Forget being the guy who used to mock her laugh, who sent good morning texts like clockwork, who waited on hair applies and adjusted his life around her moods. That man was driven by desire, but the man she respects, the one she starts to see differently, is the one way no longer revolves around her. He wakes up at 5 a.m. not for motivation, but for mission. He trains because his body is his foundation. He reads because his mind is his weapon. He builds because he refuses to stay theism. Man doesn't chase her anymore. He chases growth. And that shift, that's what pulls her in, not with need, but with intrigue. When you detach completely, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, she feels it.
Oh, not through.
And that's what she starts to respect. Not the words, not the efforts, but the fact that you've stopped needing her attention to feel like a man. Most guys crumble when a woman pulls away. They spiral, they try harder, they perform. But a stoic man, he remains still. Seneca once said, wealth consists not in having griata sessions, but in having few wants. The same applies to love and want. Respect. The moment you no longer need her validation, the more powerful your presence becomes. Let's be honest, she wouldn't expect it. She's used to being the center. She's used to being chased, comforted, accommodated. So, when you detach completely, not to manipulate, not to make her jealous, but because you've truly refocused on your path, it traddles her. She'll wonder why you're so calm, why you're not reaching out, why you're suddenly unavailable in a world that once revolved around her, and deep down, she knows. She knows that kind of discipline isn't easy to fake. That kind-off peace doesn't come from pretending, it comes from letting go. So when I say, discipline is the new desire, I mean it. You stop trying to be desirable and instead become undeniable. A man of order. It's a man of silence and strategy. Amen, who doesn't broadcast his journey, but quietly lives it. And that's when her perception changes. She may not say it, but respect starts forming in this background because detachment done right isn't cold. It's controlled. It's the highest form of self-respect. And it's the only thing that makes her look at you through a new lens. Not a Simeon who wanted her, but as someone she now wants to understand. If you're in that place where she pulled away or lost interest, let her feel the consequence of that. Not through anger, not through chasing, but through your discipline. Let her see that you didn't just move on, you leveled up. And that kind of man, no matter how things ended, will always leave a mark. You don't pull back, you evolve. Number 9. You don't pull back, you evolve. This isn't about sulking in silence. This is about growth. When you detach, you don't just walk away from her. You'll walk away from the version of yourself that used to crave her validation. You evolve. And suddenly, the man she remembers becomes a stranger she can't stop thinking about.
Atric.
You didn't play Atric. You just leveled up. That's Stoicism in motion. Beko Mingyu need a kozable in the best way. And let's make something clear. This isn't about trying to get a reaction from her. It's still emotional dependence in disguise. Detachment means you finally understood your worth doesn't hinge on her. Recognition? You stop checking if she's watched your stories. You stop overthinking her silence. You stop showing up in places just to bump into her. You begin showing up for yourself instead. Early mornings, sharper focus, stronger body, quieter mind. That's what a stoic man does. He doesn't run from pain. He refines himself through it. A woman only starts to respect you when she sees that you don't need her attention to function. That's when everything flips. She starts replaying the moments you were there, wondering if she misread your stillness. Asking herself, did he change? Or did I just never really see him clearly? It's not because you became cold. It's because you became focused. There's a difference. Take this in. Marcus Aurelius never needed applause to feel powerful. His strength came from living with intention. You want her respect. You want her eyes to search for Yaha gain. Then make sure there's nothing left to chase because you've already moved on. Not out of bitterness, but out of alignment. That's when she feels it the most. Not when you post something cryptic or disappear to play a game, but when your evolution is so real, so grounded, that she can't recognize the man she once thought she had figured out. That's when respect turns into reflection. That's when silence becomes impact. Because it's not about ignoring her. It's about no longer needing her energy. To feel like a man, you don't pull back, hoping she'll notice. You evolve to the point where it no longer matters if she does. And ironically, that's exactly when she does. Now, this is paradox, isn't it? The moment you stop needing her to see your worth, it's the moment she begins to. Not because you demanded it, but because you embodied it. So before we move forward, I want you to pause and reflect. Are you living for her validation or for your own evolution? Think about that. And if this message spoke to something inside you, let me know in the comments. Or simply type, evolve in silence, not for her, but for me. I read every response, and your story might be the reminder another man needs. Ready to go deeper? Let's keep going. Let her chase the version she ignored. Number 10. Let her chase the version she ignored. You're no longer the man who waits for her. Message, you're no longer the one hoping she'll come back. You become the one she didn't expect to lose completely. And now, if she wants anything, she has to chase it. That is the price of respect. You don't punish her. You simply remove your presence and replace it with progress. She'll let go of you. Now let go of needing to be remembered. That's the final Stoic lesson. Freedom is the ability to let go with dignity. See, there comes a point when holding on begins to cost you more than letting go. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. When a woman starts pulling away, testing your presence, many men panic. They reach out, over-explain, try to fix it. But here's where everything shifts. Instead of begging to be seen, you become invisible by choice. Not because you're trying to play hard to get, but because you finally understand your worth isn't measured by how available you are to a man who's uncertain about you. That's where detachment becomes power, and not cold detachment. It's the kind that's rooted in bitterness or games, but Stoic detachment. The kind Marcus Aurelius practiced when he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. You stop trying to control her reaction. You stop trying to be understood. You stop waiting for her to value what she once took for granted. Instead, you turn outward. You build discipline. You rebuild your frame. You become a man who no longer seeks her attention, but demands respect, simply by how he cares himself. Imagine this. She once had access to your heart, your time, your energy. Now she only sees fragments. Your progress, your silence, your glow up. She sees that you're not watching her stories anymore. You're not dropping likes. You're not subtly reminding her you exist. You've become a ghost. No doubt of immaturity, but because your soul has moved on. What haunts her now isn't your presence. It's the man she never thought would disappear so completely. That's what changes the game. Because now, for the first time, she's no longer certain. She can't predict your next move. She can't feel your emotional availability in that uncertainty. That's what flips the polarity. That's what makes her chase the version of you she ignored, because deep down, she starts to wonder if she misjudged you, or worse, lost something rare. Maybe the most stoic thing you can do now is this. Don't seek revenge. Don't seek closure. Don't even seek recognition. Just keep evolving so radically that she wouldn't even know how to approach you anymore. Not because you're bitter, but because the man you are now is light years ahead of the one she left behind. Let her seeth glow from afar, but never dim it by looking back. That's the truth. Moss conclusion never realize until it's too late. Respect isn't earned through effort, attention, or words. It's earned through your energy, your boundaries, and your willingness to walk away with clarity, not bitterness. Every point we explore today leads back to one lesson. A woman only starts to truly respect you when you stop trying to be understood and start becoming someone who no longer needs to be. So let's reflect for a second. Detachment isn't about silence for silence's sake. It's about regain and direction. It's not about disappearing to provoke her. It's about choosing to appear in your own life, with purpose, with discipline, with self-respect. When you stop orbiting around her and start building your own center, she feels it. And more importantly, you feel it. You reclaim yourself. The Stoics, didn't chase, they built, they didn't need to be seen. They lived with intention. And that's what I hope you take away from this video. Not a tactic, but a mindset. When you detach not to punish, but to evolve, you stop asking for respect and start commanding it simply by how you carry yourself. Now, I want to hear from you. What part of this message hit the hardest? Is there a moment where you saw yourself clearly in one of these examples? Let me know in the comments, or just type, "I choose myself." If this video gave you the clarity you needed, hit that like button. It helps more men find this message. Make sure to check out the next video on your screen. It's time to go even deeper into becoming the kind of men she didn't expect to lose, and more importantly, the man you respect waking up to. Stay grounded, stay focused, and never forget the strongest move is Theon made in peace. I'll see you in the next one.